with storage unit auctions. This is kind of funny. Reading this article about this new BMW. Beached white males. The downturn's true victims. And I looked at that and I kind of had to laugh because it's true. And this is really funny because I look at who I talk to the most in terms of consulting, people buying the books, that the people who join the Facebook page, and it's 95% white males. So there's definitely something going on. I read the article; it had kind of a slide. I'll include it at the bottom where you can read it for yourself, because even though that group isn't as hit hard as the rest of the country, it's still hit pretty hard. And that's really symbolic of some things that are going on. There's a huge, huge, huge cultural shift in this country. And feminism has a lot to do with it. I've been saying this for years. I've been accused of hating women, female bashing. And I noticed this happening starting in the 90s when I worked in the estrogen zone. That would be Northside Hospital. And I just noticed, over in L&D there was a group of lesbians, and if it wasn't man hate, man dislike. You would hear certain things, and this is the thing that happens with women. And any guy that works in a field where there's a lot of women, the numbers increase. They feel very comfortable expressing how they feel. And it doesn't seem like any reason to sound the alarm. It's just like, this is a recession. Everyone hit hard. This is the first recession where there were more people with advanced college degrees struggling to find work. There are a lot of highly, highly qualified people out there who cannot find a job, and the job that they find is often 30, 40, 50, 60. I know one person who is working a job that took a $70,000 a year pay cut. Put that into proper perspective. The average income nationwide is 50 G's. That's right. Over half this country makes less than $50,000 a year. So that's a big chunk. And it's just going on. And there was another article this morning about how students graduating for tech school in certain fields, especially mobile app designers, anyone that can deal with mobile platforms, is hot. I mean, one guy was turning jobs down. It's like, hey, he interned at 2 companies, and when they were like talking 70 G's, he said, no, I'm going to take this other job for 75. Freshman, senior, coming out of college. So if you have the skills, and this is something I said, this is still a great time for opportunity. What's happening to a lot of these white males is 2 things. One, competition, outsourcing, and ageism. I've had friends in this situation. When you hit late 40s, early 50s, it starts to affect you, because I've noticed that there are people that's like, bump, plenty of experience, manager, can't find a job. And they won't hire them for minimum or entry level jobs. Can't get a job. As a goof, because I haven't had a job, God, what, 2002? Yeah, 2000, and even that was full commission. That was a commission job, with a monthly draw. So, I went in, and I, just to test it, because a friend's like, if you have a certain amount of experience, they will not hire you. And I went to Walmart, filled out an application, Home Depot, Lowe's. Where else did I go? Just to see, Did not get a call back from none of them. And I put down my true, experience. So there's some truth to that. It's like, if you have a certain level of experience, you can't even get a bullshit job. And I'm not saying that, Walmart and all those are bullshit jobs. Just from my perspective, that, someone with a certain level of expertise and skill sets, if you can't get a job saying, hey, Can I help you? While standing in the aisle. What the hell, you know? But that's the deal. It's this going is getting rougher and rougher and rougher. And with this huge culture shift, and I'm going to go with it on the feminist side on the other channel, but this is related to the broader scope of the economy because women have become empowered. And women did not get hit as hard as men in this recession. That is a very significant fact. Would you think about that? People across the board are losing jobs, but it hit men from the blue collar laborer, auto factory worker, right up to PhD candidates got hit. And women were trucking right along. So now I do know some women, from a church I used to go to who struggle to find jobs. But that was more so a skill set problem than an opportunity problem. Because right now we live in an age where it is all about the skill sets and your ability to influence and produce. I don't care who you are. I don't care how old you are. If you have the ability to be innovative, start something, build something, design something, and the skill sets and the discipline to carry something from the inception to completion, this is your time. But if you are from the old school where, hey, I went to school, I'm going to work my way up, I'm going to get to that C-suite, those days are over. There is no more making 200, 300, 400, 500 G's working in the corner office and all you do is feel on your secretary's ass in the morning. Those days are over. If you are not a producer or an influencer, you are screwed. Seriously. Or if you're a real pretty chick, that still works. That still works. Based on what I see on YouTube with some of these makeup tutorial channels, I'm just sitting there like, yeah, I know why. She's gorgeous. I know exactly why the views are high, because she's gorgeous. You don't even hear what she's saying. It's just like Charlie Brown talk, blah, 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 blah. And you're looking at her because I peeped a lot of these makeup gurus, and there's a lot of dudes subscribed to those channels. So I don't think they're watching to learn how to put on their smoky eye or to get the Lady Gaga. But it's a different kind of world. And, fellas, you're going to have to be probably more creative, more able than you ever have been in your life right now. Because what's funny, a little bit about me, once I went for this track, well, when I was in the military for 6 years, then I got out the military and I had 3 jobs concurrently. When we work in the hospital, you could work bailer, per diem, and your full-time gig. So it happens a lot. I had my full-time gig, I had a part-time gig, and I had a per diem gig. And I held those 3 jobs for like 6, 7 years. And, my resume was like that. It was like, it wasn't really nothing on it. And once I left the medical field, and it became a job hopping frenzy for about 4 years. It's like I was here 6 months because there was this period I got laid off 3 times. So everyone was like, hey, you need to buckle down. You need to pick something and stick to it. And I'm going to say, I am so glad I did not listen to any of that advice. I am ecstatic because all of that flux and all that instability gave me all these skill sets to be able to run the businesses that I eventually started that were successful. Because you learn more through struggle and hardship than you do through success. That's just the honest to God's truth. So I went through due to my own bullheadedness because I knew there was something I wanted to do that was bigger than holding a job. And I'm not going to insult anyone saying holding a job is bad, but having a job is real limited on so many fronts. Is scary. From the tax side to the freedom side to the ability to decide what you're going to do, from actually sometimes having to sell out your principles and actually reduce your integrity, because if you don't, you can't pay the mortgage. I mean, these are very, very real issues that people have to confront every day. I have dated women who absolutely hated their job in the morning, hit the alarm clock. 1, 2, 3. I'm like, shit, just set that bitch for later because you ain't getting up. I mean, that's a sign. That's a sign when and people think that I do understand as an adult you have to do things you don't want to, but at a certain point you're gonna have to make some other decisions because that is a horrible way to live your life. But that's the deal right now. With us as men, we have got to be on top of our game like never before. If you have a job, I'm not gonna say quit it, but bust your ass to start something on the side because you never know. Because this happened to me. I was a salesman of the month. This was, not Metro PCS, but not T-Mobile, PowerTel, which went to voice streamed and ultimately became T-Mobile, which is now AT&T. And I did that. I got laid off, and I was a producer. And it was a mind fuck. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm actually doing what I need to do at a high level to the point you gave me an award, but you tell me I need to go? And I remember the conversation because I was working in the office on Peachtree Street, and the guy's like, well, yeah, we're going to have to let you go. He said, at most I can keep you on another 2 weeks if that helps you. And I said, no, I'll just go now because 2 weeks, it wasn't going to make a huge difference in the outcome of my life because at that moment, something inside me just went, I was like, fuck this. I am never going through this shit again. It is about me, my desires, my ambitions, and my wants. And the only way that you can really facilitate those is to either have a career that you control, such as, say, outside sales, independent contractor, where you're getting a lot of work from a company, but you're also doing your own thing. You have to really set your own thing up. Because, like I said, I firmly believe there's an assault on men from the way that the education system is rigged up because it's geared for girls. Don't believe me, do the research. It started with this no child left behind bullshit. Actually, it started before that. That accelerated, but it started before that. When we got away from actually teaching kids concepts, how they actually solve problems. The education system today is designed to make people conform and become very good at working inside a system, which is really funny because the people who have skill sets to actually circumvent that and create something and build better things are like the most highly paid people. But the people who really work in the system for the most part are the sheep. The sheeple, pretty much. I've got some interesting articles that I'm going to put on here that you can read because, education that's going on. I understand the kids are getting more in terms of content and exposure, but I think that rural Alabama education I got where this is the concept, you need to get this shit or your ass will get left back and we will flunk you out. There were consequences for not achieving. And I'm a special ed kid. I spent 6 years of special ed and I was able to actually graduate early. So I don't know about this newfangled shit. I just don't know. But it's creating a serious issue for men. Men are actually not going to college. And when they go to college, they're finding out they don't like it and it's not working for them. And there's a bunch of guys that go to college and they don't even study and they pass and they graduate with honors. But that's not the norm anymore. So if you are a white male and this shit applies to you, I love to hear your comments because this is just the beginning. This is not a blip. This is not just an isolated, the economy was bad. No. This is going on because just like in 1992, the first healthcare reform movement was based on, it was a recession. And one of the doctors at Northside told me, he said, the reason this started is white folks started showing up at Grady. That's what started. So, but we went on, got through that, had a lot of very prosperous years. But this time it's different. It feels different. It looks different. I don't think it's going to ever go back to the way it was because the world has changed in a fundamental way. 10 years ago, no one was talking about China, India. 10 years ago, China's and India's brightest students would come here and stay. They're coming here, getting a top-notch education and going back home. There's a lot of changes happening. So, hey, if you are definitely looking to improve your life, this is going to be the mantra. Get your ass out of debt. Educate yourself. Formally, informally, whatever way you have to do it. If you're a person with a high level of discipline, you could damn near teach yourself anything through the internet. I'm serious. There's so much stuff here, it's ridiculous. And if you are one that needs structure and guidance, take your ass to school. But don't go to school just to get a bullshit degree. Come up with a concrete plan and actually look 5 to 10 years ahead. Don't go ahead and get some skills that are only going to be relevant for 2 or 3 years, and then you got to go back to school. I already gave you one clue. Mobile apps, iPad, cell phones. It's going to get to a point where many people will not own a home computer. It's going to be this bad boy right here. That's going to be the computer of the future. This sucker, and this is my prediction, it's going to a screen is going to pop up in the air, and this is going to be everyone's computer going forward. I'm telling you. So whatever you know how to do with this bitch, that's it. That's the future. And the thing is, if you can make this thing dance, we're not talking about a national market. We're talking about a global market. Anything you can do to improve this, build this, make this better, that's the future. I told a friend 10 years ago, I was like, one day we're going to have tricorders from, Mr. Spock and the U.S. Enterprise on Star Trek. This is going to be the tricorder. So, men with high math aptitudes and high technical abilities, you better get on your JOB, because that's the future. And I've noticed something. Those who want to do this stuff are doing it whether they have a degree or not. Silicon Valley has a ton of engineers, and a lot of those folks there do not have a degree. It is about if you can do it. Now, I understand there are some corporations, if you're not a finely degreed person from an Ivy, they don't want you. But I guarantee you, if you have a guy that never went to school, but he can solve major problems, there will be a bidding war for his ass, whether he has a degree or not. So what's the message behind that? Make yourself valuable. Be able to do something that other people cannot do. Then you become valuable. All right, this is Glendon. We're making money with storage unit auctions.